Hey there, welcome to First Five. If you're looking for encouragement, you came to the right place. Let's dive in. It is time to set some boundaries. It's time to set up some boundaries in your life. I don't know about you, but I know there have been areas in my life, in my past, where I have needed to set some boundaries because there are places where I've been hurt over and over and over again by people that I've allowed myself to continue to be hurt by because I didn't place a proper boundary in place. And I think what's happened, if I'm just can be super transparent with you, I think what happens is that in the realm of Christianity and Christian culture and church, I think that boundaries have been demonized. I think that boundaries have been demonized because we feel like if we set up a boundary, then we can't love people well. But I would argue that boundaries actually help us to love people better because boundaries aren't so much about them, they're about us. Because the boundaries help to protect us so that we can continue to show love in the proper way. I want you to take note of this. Boundaries, I believe, are an exercise in self-control. Boundaries are an exercise in self-control. What do I mean by that? Boundaries are not necessarily meant to control the actions of others. Boundaries are meant to help control and protect that which is important to you, your heart, your energy, your strength, so that you can continue to love well. You can continue to show kindness. You can continue to display the remainder of the fruit of the Spirit. See, for those of us who are people of faith, we understand that self-control is not just some great attribute that we can have, but it is truly something that is a portion of the fruit of the Spirit. What does that mean? This is the fruit of relationship with God, that as a result of us putting our faith and our trust in God, we can have access to at all times self-control and love and patience and kindness and gentleness and goodness and faithfulness and all of these things. We have the ability to be able to have access to the fruit of the Spirit. And self-control is one of them. It's a portion of that fruit. This is the result of relationship with God. You have self-control, and you need to exercise that self-control by putting proper boundaries in your life. I understand that you love them. I understand that you care for them. I'm not asking you to stop loving and caring for them. I'm asking that in order for you to continue to love and care for them well, you may have to put up a proper boundary. I don't believe that we serve a God that wants you to continue to take on abuse. And I believe that when you do not put the proper boundary in place in your life, in your relationships, in your romantic relationships, saying, hey, I don't want to go there. I don't want to step across that line. In your professional relationships, hey, you can't just talk to me and treat me any type of way. Hey, in your personal relationships, in your friendships, hey, you can't just be and act that way to me all the time. When you set up proper boundaries in your life, I believe that you are telling people what you're going to allow. And when you don't set up those boundaries, you're saying, I am allowing you to continue to treat me however it is that you want to treat me. Boundaries are an exercise in self-control, and boundaries allow us, if we put them in place properly, to continue to love like Jesus. I'm telling you, boundaries will help you to continue to love well. Why? Because it will keep you from your heart turning to stone. Boundaries will keep your heart from turning to stone, because then if you're able to protect your energy, protect what you care about, protect what you value, protect your heart, you are then able to continue to love despite how others may treat you. You can only continue to love well if you have a heart that has the ability to be able to. But when you've been constantly beat up and you've been constantly abused, I know this happens. Come on. When you've been constantly beat up and abused and hurt and misused, it can be so difficult for you to muster up the strength to show love and patience and kindness to people again. But I'm telling you, if you put up the proper boundary, that boundary can allow you to be able to continue to love well. Now, here's what I'm not asking you to do. I'm not asking you to cut people off. Here's what I want you to know. Healthy boundaries creates healthy distance between us and those we've been called to love. I believe that when you put boundaries in place that are healthy, not cutting people out of your life and forcing them into a corner and saying, I never want to talk to you again. I'm talking about for those people who you love and who you care about and you've been called to love, that you putting a boundary in place saying, this is what I will allow and this is what I will not allow. I believe that will help you to create healthy distance between you and that person so that you can continue to operate out of a spirit of love toward that person. But when you create unhealthy boundaries and you just write that person off, I believe that creates unnecessary distance between us and the people that we've been called to love. And every time you cut a person, we all know people like that, right? I've tended to be a person like that. I'm just gonna cut you off. I'm done with you. I'm putting you in the corner. I ain't got time for you. And I move past. And what happens when I do that is I miss the opportunity. I'm telling you, this is so real for me. I miss the opportunity to continue to show that person the love and the grace and the kindness of God. I miss an opportunity for my life to be light to them. I miss an opportunity for me to show them who Jesus is, what this is really all about when I cut them out of my life. Now listen, there are some relationships, I get it, that are just so abusive that like they can no longer stay in your life in that way. And I understand if you've been there, and guess what? I'm gonna let you feel what you need to feel. I'm validating in you and what you feel. And there is grace for you to feel that very thing. Because I know there are areas and people in my life and situations in my life where I feel the same way. But I want you to hear me. I want you to create a healthy boundary. A boundary that protects your soul. A boundary that helps you, doesn't hurt you. A boundary that allows you to continue to love people well. So what does that look like in your life today? To set up healthy boundaries. To exercise self-control, that your boundaries would not be about controlling others and what they do. Don't be worried about that. That's not your concern, but that your boundaries would be about helping yourself, exercising self-control, protecting your heart so that you can continue to love well. Just think about 2 to 3 people today that you can put some boundaries in that relationship, or 2 or 3 situations today that you can put boundaries in front of, so that you can continue to be positive in those relationships, in those situations. Continue to love well. Think about that today. I really hope that this encouraged you. We'll talk soon.